Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Step aside. Opposition says Education Minister should go due to poor performances in PEP and CSEC exit exams. Not out of control. Manchester Police seeks to allay fears about crime in the parish. And later in sports, Vere United and JFF clashes over player transfer. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry-Ann Simpson. Here are the details. The poor performance of students in mathematics and English in the recent primary exit profile PEP exam and the Caribbean secondary examination certificate CSEC exams were one of the highlights at the 86th staging of the PNP's annual conference. O'Shane Masters reports.
The opposition People's National Party PNP continued its broadside of the Holness administration's handling of the education sector. Shadow spokesman on education Damien Crawford says the lackluster performance in the recent CSEC exams should have been the writing on the wall for the country's education minister, Favour Williams.
In PEP, 13,000 children this year did not achieve proficiency in mathematics. They asked for bread, they were given stone. 11,000 children did not achieve proficiency in English language. And then when it comes to CXC, it gets worse. Because 18% of Jamaican children get 5 subjects, including maths and English. And then I hear that the Minister of Education is seeking a promotion. What can go so?
He says rather than seeking a, quote, promotion, end quote, the Prime Minister should have asked for her to step aside. For him, a PNP government will make major changes to the education sector.
We have found the stone heap and we have found the serpent nest. And I guarantee that in 5 years after we take government, we will defeat Trinidad, we will defeat Barbados in CXC the same way we treat them in Carifta. And no cartel is here, but when it comes to education, I am the teacher.
First on his agenda, absenteeism.
In the rural area, 37% absenteeism. And in the urban area, 18% absenteeism. The first thing we're going to do is make sure we have boarding facilities for at least 30% of our school population. And then we are going to give 1 meal per child in school. The JLP will quickly say, how can we afford it? But let me tell you something about afford. They say they can't afford 1 meal per child in school, but they will afford 3 meals per adult in prison. What can go so?
Secondly, he says a teacher retention program will be instituted. This to minimize the number of teachers leaving the island to work overseas. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
6 people were injured last night following a 2-vehicle collision on the Winston Jones Highway near Marshall's Pen. It's understood that about 6:50 p.m. a Nissan Note and a Hiace bus were heading in the same direction when the car attempted to turn onto a minor road. It was hit by the minibus, causing it to overturn in a ditch. The road has been the scene of numerous accidents for years. The status of the injured individuals were not ascertained up to news time. The Manchester Police are reporting a significant decrease in pickpocketing in the parish. This following the launch of an anti-street vending initiative earlier this year. Shamila Pullen reports.
Pickpocketing has long plagued Manchester, particularly along a bustling section of Manchester Road in the heart of Mandeville. Victims often discover their loss after leaving the commercial district, making it challenging for the authorities to respond effectively. However, head of the Manchester Police, Deputy Superintendent Kerry Duncan, assured the Manchester Municipal Corporation recently that the police are actively addressing the issue.
We find that when we rid the streets of the vendors, it gives us more latitude to operate. And prior to that initiative, we had a lot of lasty persons reporting, that's what we call pickpocketing. Yeah. Since that report has gone down significantly. We also have our covert operatives. Yeah. We also use of what we have as our CCTV cameras. So we have a very good idea of the persons who come into this space for that particular operation, just to come and pickpocket.
Chairman Donovan Mitchell emphasized that while efforts to address pickpocketing in the town centre are crucial, attention must also be directed towards other areas experiencing similar concerns.
Whenever they call on them, because I keep getting complaints that sometimes they go there, nobody paying them any mind and some other things. The Greenvale, just before you approach a Greenvale roundabout, there are some guys up there. Their complaints is that they can't go there because they tend to get boisterous and rough and all of that. Most time they have to get police to go up there with them. And persons are just quarreling because you're driving on the road, they set up the thing, it's almost in the road. Vehicles can't pass as they want to. So I'm going to ask you to just assist us.
But despite the progress made by the lawmen so far, the police are still monitoring the spaces to prevent a repeat.
So once they are identified on our CCTV cameras, persons are deployed to go there and arrest them, or we tell them, listen, if you're not doing the business in Manchester, it's in your interest to leave the town.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, head of the Manchester Police, Deputy Superintendent Kerry Duncan has moved swiftly to allay fears of escalating crime in the parish. Addressing growing concerns about recent incidents of murders and shootings, DSP Duncan emphasized that the situation is firmly under control.
Since the start of 2024, we have recorded 191 major crimes, and this is compared to 238 for the corresponding period for 2023. This represents a decrease of 47 or 20%. And we are in no way celebrating 20% reduction, because where we really want to be is at 50%. However, it is important to point this out, just to allay the fears of the people in Manchester that crime is out of control.
Since the start of the year, at least 265 persons have been killed on the nation's roadways from road crashes. The month of September alone accounts for 18 of those fatalities. Now, as part of efforts to reduce that number, at least 2 organizations have partnered with the National Road Safety Council in a public education campaign and to distribute free helmets to motorcyclists. Jamaica is on track to match or potentially exceed the number of fatalities that occurred last year, which may be over 400. It is why 2 non-governmental organizations, in an effort to reduce the carnage on the road, have launched a public awareness project dubbed Helmet for Life.
Road safety impacts on all of us, and it impacts on the systems that are provided, both police, health, and social services. And that is why we thought it was such a great idea to partner with on this issue.
The initiative is designed to raise public awareness about road safety and to minimize injuries and death by applying road safety measures.
Essentially, what we're trying to instill in our riders are to have 4 principles in terms of wearing a helmet. The first principle is avoid risky situations. Avoid risky situations. We want our riders to understand that when it is wet, slow down. The wheeling and dilly-dallying, if you dilly-dally too much, you will end up in a hospital trolley.
And the National Road Safety Council has hailed the initiative as very good.
258 people had died on the road. And I'm going to bore you with the whole heap of statistics. But let me tell you something. 4 out of every 10 was on a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. Whether a driver or a pillion. Yes. 4 out of every 10. Now, something wrong with that. So we need some greater care on the road.
The project will be implemented across the 14 parishes and will see the free distribution of helmets. It's time for a break. Stay with us. More local stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Road repairs have commenced on the York Hill Main Road in St. Thomas. It comes following damage to the thoroughfare during the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Councillor for the Seaforth Division, Sheru Stevens, is asking residents to be patient as they will be inconvenienced.
We have the mall situation, so they are taking up that now, and I'm happy for that the contractor has seen fit to take up all of that soil, go straight into Seaforth Square, but so I know that he's going to inconvene persons traversing this roadway. So I'm asking for patience, and we know that it's going to do properly now.
The residents have expressed mixed reactions.
Them go on good too. But like how them do it, you know. How them clean it up and take a back all them run stuff there for the thing, and you know what I mean? It's good. They are not doing nothing or working on the road the right way that the road's supposed to work on, because they're supposed to tilt the road and turn the road to the area where the gully is running, that the water can run off when the rain falling. So that way them are do. Yeah, that is it. So I want them continue and finish it up.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
$100 million has been made available to allow local tradespersons to purchase tools and equipment. The Development Bank of Jamaica is making the funds available through the Tradesperson Ownership Opportunity Loan Tool Program. Under the initiative, qualified people can use the funds at a number of hardware stores. The loans are being offered through microfinancing institutions, including the Exim Bank. The DBJ says tradespersons can access up to $500,000 each at a maximum interest rate of 9% per annum. They'll get up to 2 years to repay. They can also receive business development training through Jamaica Business Development Corporation, along with on-the-spot assessment from Heart and STA Trust for certification in their respective fields. 170 million US users will make its arguments before a 3-judge panel at an appeals court in Washington, D.C. For the Business Minute, I'm Shane Masters.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
A tanker truck exploded in southwestern Haiti on Saturday, killing at least 24 people and injuring more than 60. According to police reports, in the midst of the tragedy, some residents, unaware of the danger, were recovering the fuel that was leaking from the tanker truck as it was losing fuel following the deadly accident with another truck. 19 of the injured who were severely burned were scheduled to be transferred to specialized hospitals in Port-au-Prince on a flight co-organized by the Ministry of Public Health and Doctors Without Borders. But according to Director General of Civil Protection Emmanuel Pierre, only some were evacuated. Meanwhile, Interim President Gary Coney sought to assure the victims' relatives of his support. He instructed healthcare workers to prioritize the burn victims. On the international scene, at least 274 inmates have escaped custody after floods tore down the walls of a prison in Nigeria's Borno State. Nigerian Correctional Service spokesman Abubakar Umar said in a statement that initially 281 inmates escaped. They were being transferred to a safe and secure facility, but 7 were recaptured later. He said the flood brought down the walls of correctional facilities, including the medium security custodial center Madaguri, as well as a staff quarters in the city. And a series of shootouts between rival tribes over a disputed gold mine has left at least 30 people dead in Papua New Guinea. Now, security forces have been given emergency powers to stop the fighting, including the use of lethal force. Unrest had been brewing near the Porgera gold mine in the country's central highlands ever since members of the Sakar clan settled on land owned by their rivals, the PNP, sometime in August. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Shane Masters.
Thanks, Shane. We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.